want him to be a fourth-year or fifth-year guy. He's only been out there so many games, but he's making progress, and that's what you're looking for week in and week out.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started here in the room. Kyle already has the mic. All right, go ahead, Kyle.
What will be David Hedelin's role this week?
David's going to be in pretty quickly. We're going to play him at left tackle. We'll use him. We'll use Sermon. Also, we were very pleased with Sermon's performance in the first 3 weeks. But we're going to try to get a rotation with those two at the tackle spot. Sermon's our most versatile offensive lineman, so you might see him at a couple of different places. We're talking about maybe playing him a couple snaps at center as well.
Just, well, that you haven't had a sixth guy really. I mean, you played Trevor, I think, a couple of snaps. How much does it help if you can use Sermon sort of as a swing guy to play in multiple spots? Does it really help to keep you guys a little bit fresher? I
think it keeps you fresher, but it allows you to hold some other guys that you may have had to play in the first 3 games. So you get the 6th lineman with Hedlund, and the 7th with Treader, and the 8th with Corey. Now you got 8 guys that you got to keep bringing along and getting better. And then maybe you can sit down some of those other guys which you may have had to play early in the season.
Which guy would that be?
Might have been a Kirk Barron or someone like that. He may be a guy that now you see how it plays out, but he might be a guy that you say, okay, let's hold him because he has not played.
Just what's been your evaluation of how the line has played through the first 3 games?
Very pleased. I think Coach Bridge is doing a great job with those guys. They're getting better each week. I think they're doing a relatively good job of protecting the passer, but I think their double-team blocks have taken a step in the right direction since last year.
Did they have the biggest room to grow in pass protection, and did you feel like, they gave up 3 sacks, but maybe 2 of those might have been on the quarterback against Notre Dame. Did you feel like from a pass protection point of view they had probably their best game?
Yeah, 2 of those sacks were definitely on the quarterback the last play of the game when you were trying to throw a Hail Mary. Then another play he was holding on to it a little bit. He should have cut it loose. But yes, I think they've taken their biggest steps in the pass protection realm.
Just back to Hedlund real quick. What does he bring you from an attitude and skill set point of view?
Well, I think he's very athletic. That's what we know about him. He's nasty. He still has a lot of things that he can get better at in terms of combination blocks and the communication, those types of things. But he's a very physical player that can run.
You think he'll start, or you think he'll stick with Sermon?
Well, we're going to start Sermon for Saturday's game.
Ryan Grigson talked to your team on Friday and then was down on the sideline, at least in the pregame on Saturday. What was his message to you guys on Friday night? Well,
he's a Boilermaker through and through. He loves this place. He loves Purdue football, and he just wanted our guys to play with a passion and a deep respect for the game that he loves. And it doesn't matter who the opponent is, just to play as hard as you can, and then you love his support.
What do you guys have to do to get the running game going a little bit again? It's been a couple of weeks where you haven't really gotten that big play, I guess, that you're probably looking for.
That's one of the things we're lacking is the big play. We're not making enough big plays. We need some chunk plays, and that's one of the things we talked about as a staff, of how to get those big chunk plays. And one of the things you got to do, what we did in the springtime, you got to spread them out a little bit more than what we have. It's one of the things you got to do. But also, we could have had a big chunk play on one of Raheem's runs, and we fell off a block on the corner. If he gets the block on the corner, it might go for 75. So those are the things that we have to be able to finish downfield and finish blocks.
Yeah, it looked like a couple times against Notre Dame you were maybe, one tackle away or one block away. Did you feel that way on a couple?
No, I felt that way on probably 3 or 4 plays. And you don't have to make all those plays, but you got to make 1 or 2 of those plays to potentially change the outcome of football games.
Concerned about the fumbling at all? I mean, Hunt had the one, and I think Mostert has had one.
No, I'm not concerned, but we can't fumble. I mean, I'm not concerned, but you can't fumble. You can't fumble, you can't throw interceptions. Teams that win are teams that don't make mistakes and teams that make plays.
Thanks.
Just with the offensive line, just from a run blocking standpoint, how are they holding up?
I think they're doing a good job. I don't think we're getting too much penetration. I think they're fitting their double teams at the point of attack extremely well. Again, you have to finish a little bit better on the second levels on those linebackers, but they're going to the right people and they're covering them up.
With Hedlund, do you feel like there's one area he's stronger at, whether it be the run blocking or pass blocking yet?
I think he's probably a little bit ahead in the run game than he is in pass pro. I think he's got to work on getting out of his stance a little bit better and pass setting a little bit better, but he'll be fine because he's so athletic, he can recover on a lot of those guys.
Just as you go back and look at your plan for him, he got a lot of reps early in camp. I guess the thought process of getting him involved early and then tapering off a little bit, and just how he's going to approach this week now.
Well, we knew he was going to be a guy that we needed to play for us as soon as he became available. He's that type of player. So we front-end loaded him pretty quickly, and then when we had to get into some games situations, obviously we gave many of those reps to Serm and whoever we thought was going to play, but we got to ramp him back up to make sure he's sharp when we get to the field on Saturdays.
You mentioned about playing with the same intensity level every week. At what point will this team turn that corner? Is that something you see on a Tuesday as opposed to a Saturday?
No, Tuesday, to gauge your team on a Tuesday is hard because you're sore. A lot of times your guys are sore. A lot of times it's installation. So you're a little bit sluggish, a little bit slower. Now you want to make sure that they're really taking steps forward on those Tuesdays, but the level of intensity is definitely different than on Tuesday. Even Wednesday. Wednesdays, it starts to get a little bit ramped up because their bodies are coming back, and then you want it to be exact on Thursdays and Saturdays.
I guess update on BJ. What will be his status?
BJ's going to be as far as he can go. As long as he can go, he can go. I mean, he's been cleared. He's got a little bit of hip issue. I don't know what the medical terms are, but he's fine. It's not the sports hernia we thought it would be, but if he can go and can tolerate the pain, he's clear to go.
And just with your, I guess the pressure you got from the defensive line and the linebackers, the fact that you're able to rotate Razon and Ryan in that spot, and maybe have a little bit more depth, did that help maybe create some more pressure?
Well, I thought those guys on the edge really played well. Ryan and Jelani played well, and then Jeelan came in and played well, as well as Danny Yee. But you're right, having those three guys start to get better inside with Ryan and Rajan and Jake, those are three pretty good players that, again, they're young guys, but they're getting better each and every week.
Just wanted to ask you, obviously, about Southern Illinois. Sorry. If you could just break down their offense for us, first of all. Obviously, Malcolm Agnew seems like he gets the lion's share of the work in the backfield. What kind of problems does he present?
Well, he's very quick. He's very patient. They run a lot of zone with him. They run screens. He's a great screen runner. He's got good balance, and he makes a lot of plays just off of guys missing tackles. He's quick in the hole.
What's kind of the overall focus of their offense?
Well, they like to give him the ball in any way they can, but there are a lot of misdirection. They want you moving one way so they can counter back the other way. They want the ball out of the quarterback's hands as quick as they can and try to create pressure on the edge. They got two other guys that I think are pretty dynamic. Number 18 and number 21 are both quick, short, quick guys that make a lot of plays for them. They like to get the ball to the tight end, number 4. As much as they can. He's a really good pass catcher, and the quarterback has done a nice job in the first 3 weeks of operating the offense.
Agnew more of kind of like an east-west guy?
No, actually, he's better north and south.
What about their defense? What sort of defensive looks do you expect to see?
We're going to see an out front, and they're going to play a lot of zone coverage in the back end. I don't see them pressing a whole lot. They haven't pressed the first 3 weeks at least. So we're looking at a lot of cover 3, some cover 4 in the back end, and try to keep it in front of them.
You mentioned before facing a 3-4 being a completely different blocking scheme. How specifically is it different than blocking your standard 4-3?
It's different because the calls are different, but combinations are combinations. You got to know where you're going to and then know where the double team happens. But, you know, we block 3-4 in practice because our defense in our nickel package gets into a three-man front, so we have to be able to block the 3-4 defense. But, again, it's all about making the communication that you need to have happen.
It said in the game notes this week that Cedric Dale is moving to receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to play over on the offensive side of the ball, so we'll make that transition today with him, and he'll run some scout team receiver against our defense.
Does he have experience playing receiver?
He feels more comfortable. That's what he said to me Sunday in my office, that he'd much rather play receiver. That's where in high school he played receiver and DB, so he much rather play receiver.
You need some depth probably at cornerback, right? Considering the guys you're playing right now are upperclassmen?
For down the road, absolutely. We'll recruit DBs.
I know Pete had asked you about the intensity kind of angle, but that you said that needs to be the standard after the game. But that's not the only area you need to show consistency in, right?
No, there's lots of areas that you got to show consistency. I mean, tackling, and you got to show not making penalties, making plays. There's a lot of things.
I guess where are you at right now in terms of rebuilding the program? How crucial is it not to regress, generally, I suppose, but especially this week against this opponent?
Well, obviously, you want to always take steps forward. That's the most important thing as a program, to see progress. And I'm confident our guys will continue to do that. I mean, they're in good spirits right now. They're in there studying film. As I came over here, they're studying film and they're wanting to get better. If you have some 1-2 in your guys, then you're going to get better.
Last year, Notre Dame was the best you guys played all season, probably, and then, you know, the rest of the season didn't go the way that you had hoped. Why is this year going to be different?
It's a different football team. I mean, we got a lot of different people in our locker room right now. We got different leaders, and they're hungry. They're a hungry bunch of guys, and they're working extremely hard at getting better.
Why do you think last week helped in terms of just kind of moving forward?
Well, I think they set the standard pretty high for themselves, and I think that they know the level that they can play at, and they know that they're skilled enough to play at that level, so now they have to just do it.
Oh, hi. Any specific players that you attribute to the impressive outing by the defensive line against Notre Dame, or what do you attribute to it in general?
There's a lot of good players. A lot of them played well. Jelani Phillips played well. Ryan Russell played well. Rajon played well. Jake Replogo played well. And so did Ryan Watson. So all of them played well. You know, I thought they were getting the rush up the field, and they were getting pushed back on the offensive line, so they were able to make some plays.
Nice. Now that the secondary are at full strength, what have you seen from them, and where do you expect them to need the most improvement moving forward?
Well, the one thing I thought they did last week was I thought they played the ball as well as they did since we've been here. They need to continue to play together back there and give each other help on some of those routes that become available. They need to help each other in that standard.
Coach, you talked about this team being a different team from last year. In what ways are they different? What do you see being the big difference from last year to this year?
Their work ethic's better, their attitude's better, their attention to detail's better. It's important to them. All those things makes it that much better for this football team.
What did you learn from that process last year?
Stay the course and continue to work through the issues that you have, and understand that in the process that there's going to be side steps and maybe even backward steps, but you have the vision of where you want to be when you get these things righted. And I think the guys are doing a nice job of understanding. You know, we ran on Sunday night, and you could just hear the energy from our guys after we ran. Just, hey, let's get this thing rolling. So it's fun to be around these guys. There are a lot of good guys in our locker room right now.
What are some things that you do to make sure that intensity continues, or is that something that the players kind of have to figure out on their own?
No, I think it's a little bit of both. I think we got to keep driving it as a coaching staff to be able to play at that level. But I think it also is intrinsic from our player standpoint that they have to have that burning desire inside to play at that high level, regardless of whether there's one person in the stands or 50,000 people in the stands, whether we're playing Southern Illinois or whether we're playing Notre Dame, it's got to be a burning thing inside that drives them to play at that level.
Kind of along the same lines as that, Coach, how difficult is it for a group of 18 to 22-year-old guys to treat Southern Illinois as the same or equal to Notre Dame?
Well, I don't know if you treat them differently, equal. I don't know. Can't measure that standard, but I know that they're hungry. Our guys are hungry, and they want to win football games, and then they're going to do whatever it takes to win football games.
Danny started 12-14, I think, against Notre Dame, doing what you described as distributing to playmakers, and then he went downfield a couple times to D'Angelo. Is it a fine line between choosing his spots to maybe test that and give his guys a chance to make plays versus not making mistakes?
Well, I think that's the best thing he did on Saturday was give our guys a chance to make a play on those two long throws. Both throws to D'Angelo were opportunities for our guy to go up and battle for the football. 50-50 balls is what we call those. And he threw it on the field, threw it in a spot where the defender couldn't get it, and we have to be able to do that and trust him to be able to do that with the football.
Obviously, it's a one-game difference, but psychologically, what's the difference between a 1-3 and a 2-2 record heading into Big Ten play with your season goals in mind?
Well, I'm not even looking at it that way. I just think we got to worry about this Saturday. We can't worry about the Big Ten schedule yet. We got to worry about taking care of all the things that we need to do on Saturday to keep moving forward.
You kind of talked about Southern Illinois' offense, but for your offense, what do they have to do against the Salukis? What do you see as the attacking method?
I think we got to, make explosive plays. We got to have some more big chunk plays down the field, whether it's a run or a pass. We have to shorten the field a little bit. Obviously, we can't turn the ball over, and I think we got to be able to establish the run against these guys. I really do. I think we have to be able to run the ball effectively because that's sometimes become demoralizing for defense if they can't get off the field and stop the run.
Anything else? Yep, one more follow-up.
Leaving the meeting.
Hopefully ask this so you can understand it, but with their offense, with Southern Illinois' offense, the premium on tackling and being in the right position, maybe as opposed to some other games. I mean, how much is that a focus this week where you may not get as much pressure on a quarterback, but you have to be in the right position on defense?
We have to be in the right position this week and be able to tackle an open space on these guys because they're quick. And that's the problem that this team presents is those guys are really quick with the ball in their hands, and we got to get multiple hats to the ball so they can't make one guy miss and get themselves started. So it's very important that we eliminate gaps, but also run to the football and tackle.
Anything else? All right, Coach, thank you for your time.